This year, Meghan keeps getting called out by her exes as a liar who two-timed them.
It didn't start with a scandal headline, it started with a voice. Calm, controlled, almost too calm. The kind of voice that doesn't scream because it knows it doesn't have to. Because what it's about to say is far more dangerous than any accusation. And the moment that voice belonged to Cory Vitiello, sitting in a dim Toronto studio, everything people thought they knew about Meghan Markle began to crack, slowly, then all at once. The illusion didn't shatter overnight. No, it was peeled back layer by layer, like someone who had been waiting years to finally expose the truth hiding behind polished smiles and royal titles. Cory didn't rush, he didn't rage. That's what made it worse. Because every word felt deliberate, calculated, like he knew exactly which detail would hurt the most. He started simple. Too simple. A suitcase. A gray Rimowa suitcase. Harmless, right? Except it wasn't. Because that suitcase, according to him, wasn't just luggage, it was a pattern, a signal, a silent witness to a double life. Summer 2016. Frequent trips. London. Secretive. Quiet. Repeated. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because while that suitcase was being packed for royal meetings, it was sitting in his apartment, his home, his space, his life. The same closet, the same room, the same relationship. So what does that mean? It means two timelines weren't just overlapping, they were colliding. And suddenly, the love story everyone believed in starts to look less like destiny and more like strategy. And then came the detail that no one could ignore. The phone. Always face down. Always. Think about that. Not once, not occasionally, always. And every time it lit up, UK number. Messages she wouldn't answer in front of him. Messages that didn't belong in that relationship. Messages that didn't match the narrative she was selling to the world. And this is where things shift from suspicion to something darker. Because Cory didn't just describe behavior, he described moments, specific ones, like those nights. 3:00 a.m. The kind of hour where nothing normal happens, where truth either hides or reveals itself. The phone would ring, unknown number, and instead of answering beside him, she would get up, leave the room, lock herself in the bathroom, turn on the tap, full blast, water running loud enough to drown out voices, but not loud enough to silence curiosity. He heard whispers, not casual, not friendly, tense, urgent, like negotiations, like something being arranged or hidden. And you have to ask yourself, who takes calls like that at that hour behind a locked door with water running to mask the sound? That's not coincidence. That's pattern. But Cory didn't stop there. He saved something heavier, something visual, something that sticks. November 2015. Rain falling. Street quiet. He pulls up to the apartment and there it is, a black SUV, parked outside, tinted windows, engine still warm, the kind of car that doesn't belong to casual visits. And then the door opens. She steps out, but she's not alone. A man follows, face hidden under a baseball cap. No introductions, no explanations, just movement. Fast, controlled. And then the exchange. A package, brown plastic, handed directly to her. Not dropped off, not delivered casually, handed like it mattered, like it couldn't be seen. And then the headlights hit them. That moment, that split second where truth almost gets caught. She reacts instantly, hides the package, too fast, too nervous, too aware. So later, when he asks her about it, what does she do? She flips it. Tears, innocence, hurt, the classic reversal. Don't you trust me? Suddenly, he's the problem. Suddenly, he's controlling. Suddenly, he's the one under scrutiny. And just like that, the question disappears, buried under emotion. But here's the thing about patterns, they don't disappear. They wait. Fast forward. Another room, another moment. This time, far away from Toronto, inside a Montecito mansion. Morning light. Coffee in hand. And then the podcast. Prince Harry hears it. At first, it's just noise, background audio. But then the details start landing one by one. The suitcase, the calls, the secrecy, the overlap. And suddenly, it's not just a story anymore, it's a mirror. Because he's seen this before. The deflections, the tears, the way questions get turned around. And in that moment, something shifts. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just a pause. A silence. The kind that says, something isn't right. And then she walks in, sees the screen, sees what he's hearing, and for a split second, the mask slips. No argument, no explanation, just silence. Thick, heavy, uncomfortable, the kind of silence that says more than any words ever could. Because when someone is truly innocent, they don't go quiet like that. But she doesn't confront it. She retreats straight into damage control. Because this isn't about truth anymore, it's about survival. And she knows the game better than anyone. Within hours, the narrative starts shifting. Paparazzi appear, photos get taken, carefully staged, no makeup, sad expression, vulnerable look, the image of a woman under attack. But here's the twist. While the world is watching her play victim, Cory is still talking. And this time he goes deeper, not into events, but into behavior. He talks about the mirror, the rehearsals, the way she practiced crying, timed it, controlled it, perfected it. Not emotion, performance. Every tear calculated, every expression refined, every moment engineered. And suddenly, everything people thought was real starts looking staged. The morning photo, not sadness. Strategy. The tears, not pain. Precision. And that's when the public begins to turn. Because nothing terrifies people more than realizing they've been watching a performance thinking it was real. And just when it feels like the story has reached its peak, Cory drops something else. Something quieter. Something far more dangerous. He doesn't explain it. He hints. Age 19. Missing time. Sealed records. And just like that, a new question enters the room. Not about relationships. Not about loyalty. But about something buried. Something hidden. Something that was never meant to be found. And the moment that hint hits the public, the silence around it becomes deafening. The moment those two words, age 19, slipped into the conversation, the entire story stopped being about romance, betrayal, or even reputation and transformed into something far more unsettling. Because timelines can be denied, emotions can be performed, but missing time, sealed records, that's not something you explain away with a tearful walk to a coffee shop. That's the kind of shadow that doesn't fade, it waits. And someone was already waiting. Because before any official response could be crafted, before any carefully staged image could be released, another voice entered the storm. Not loud, not polished, but precise. Samantha Markle, the name that had always been pushed to the margins, suddenly stepping straight into the center. No press conference, no long explanation, just a single image, a photograph, faded, almost forgotten, but devastating in its timing. A 19-year-old Meghan, oversized coat, standing outside a remote, worn-down medical facility near the Mexican border. Not a hospital you casually visit, not a place you pose outside for memories, a place people go when they don't want to be seen, when something needs to be handled quietly. And beneath that image, just one sentence, the kind of sentence that doesn't accuse, but ignites. The secret child cannot be buried forever. And just like that, the internet didn't react, it detonated. Because now there wasn't just speculation, there was direction, a timeline, a location, a missing piece that suddenly felt too specific to ignore. People began connecting dots that were never meant to be connected. That gap at 19, the silence, the absence of photos, the whispers that had always floated around but never landed, until now. And while the world spiraled into theories, inside Montecito, something much colder was happening. Because for the first time, Prince Harry didn't step forward. No statement, no defense, no protective shield, nothing. And that absence spoke louder than anything he could have said. Because when someone who always defends you suddenly goes quiet, it doesn't mean they've stopped listening. It means they've started questioning. That night, the mansion didn't feel like a home. It felt like a space filled with echoes, questions hanging in the air. And while she tried to maintain control, tried to keep the narrative contained, he did something unexpected. He didn't argue. He searched, not emotionally, methodically, quietly, like someone who had already decided that words weren't enough anymore. Drawers open, closets examined, bags turned inside out, every corner of her world slowly being dismantled, piece by piece, not out of anger, but out of necessity. Because truth doesn't reveal itself when you ask for it, it reveals itself when you look where no one expects you to. And then the cellar, dark, cold, forgotten. The kind of place where things get hidden, not stored. A loose tile, just slightly out of place. Easy to miss unless you're looking for something. And beneath it, an iron box. Not decorative, not symbolic. Functional, locked, private. But locks only work if no one tries to break them. Inside, not jewelry, not memories. Evidence, a key, not labeled, but important. And receipts, crumpled, numerous. Repeated transactions, cash withdrawals, large ones, regular intervals. And the destination, an anonymous credit credit union in Mexico, the same place connected to that faded photograph, the same timeline Cory had hinted at, the same late-night calls. Suddenly, everything wasn't just suspicious, it was aligned, because coincidences don't repeat like that. And in that moment, whatever doubt remained collapsed. Because betrayal isn't just about what someone did, it's about what they hid and how long they hid it for. But here's where it becomes something else entirely. Because Cory stopped talking. No third episode, no follow-up, no clarification, just silence. And that silence didn't calm the situation, it amplified it. Because now the world wasn't reacting to information, it was waiting for it, waiting for the next piece, waiting for the final confirmation. And that waiting became pressure. Because silence is only powerful when you don't need to break it. But she did. Because when you're hiding something, silence doesn't protect you, it traps you. And desperation doesn't make people careful, it makes them reckless. So she moved. Not publicly, not visibly, quietly, in the middle of the night, no cameras, no announcements, just intention. Because if the truth existed somewhere, it had to be erased, completely, permanently. And the only way to do that was to buy it. The broker, the one who held the original records, the one who had been quietly managing this hidden connection for years. Cash had always been enough before, but not now, not with the spotlight this intense. So she turned to something else, something she was never supposed to touch, something that didn't belong to her. The jewelry room, high security, restricted, protected, not because of its value, but because of what it represented. Legacy, history, royal bloodline, and inside the velvet box, deep navy, hidden behind layers, the kind of item you don't stumble upon, you choose to find. Princess Diana's diamonds, and in that moment, the line wasn't just crossed, it was erased. Because this wasn't survival anymore. This was sacrifice, not of reputation, but of everything. She took them, packed them, drove out alone, rain falling, no escort, no protection. Because when someone believes they're one step ahead, they stop looking behind them. But he was already watching, tracking, waiting, not to stop her, but to confirm. And the moment arrives, not in a palace, not in a courtroom, but in a place that feels forgotten. A shipping lot, isolated, quiet, the kind of place where deals happen without witnesses. Except this time, there were witnesses, hidden ones. She hands over the diamonds, demands the file, he demands more. Money, she tries, card declined, again, declined. And that's the moment everything collapses, because control disappears. And when control disappears, truth enters. Lights flood the scene, engines roar, doors open, and suddenly she's not negotiating anymore. She's exposed. He steps out, no anger, no shouting, just cold certainty. And when he throws the evidence at her, the receipts, the bracelet, the proof, it's not an accusation, it's confirmation. Because the worst part about truth is that it doesn't need to argue, it just exists. And in that moment, there's nothing left to perform. No tears, no defense, no narrative, just silence. The real kind this time. Because when the story ends, it doesn't fade. It stops. Abruptly. And the next morning, the world doesn't hear about it. It sees it. Suitcases on the curb. Gates closing. Cameras flashing. And a woman who once controlled the story now trapped inside it. But here's the part no one can ignore. The royal family says nothing, not a word. And that silence, it doesn't protect, it confirms. Because when institutions that powerful choose not to speak, it's not because they don't know the truth, it's because they've already acted on it. And the most unsettling part? This doesn't feel like the end. It feels like something was just uncovered that was never supposed to be found.